I was a member of a role-playing reenactment model-making club in England, and we got our hands on 2 of the Mattel AT-ATs, but with a bit of work, we rebuilt them into fairly accurate copies of the ones used in The Empire Strikes Back. We then got hold of half a dozen snowspeeder models, which were close to matching in scale, and built them so that they'd have a rod coming out the rear ports, made a lot of stands with vertical rods, and a clamp that we could slide up and down. Half of them are tall enough to get the snowspeeders over the top of the AT-ATs, the other half just short enough to go underneath them. Each snowspeeder had a 2-man crew. We allowed the snowspeeders to make several changes in height and course per turn. I think we settled on 6. With a little work and several food cartons, we built the reactor plant and a couple of different towers, and painted up the background panel. We tested rules for a few weeks, and then took the whole rig, plus several large bags of salt, to a weekend show. On Saturday morning, we astonished all other clubs by rearranging our tables into one long, thin shape, unrolling the base cloth and background, dumping loads of salt onto the base cloth, which we had rigged with a slightly raised edge so that the salt didn't go everywhere. We put the 2 AT-ATs at the far end from the reactor. The first few games were normal, but then people found us, and we had set up a strict list of people who were waiting to play. There were 3 possible final conditions for each game. Condition 1, the AT-ATs took out the reactor using their nose and cheek cannon. Condition 2, the AT-ATs reached the reactor, overrunning the base. They were moved forward at the end of each turn. And condition number 3, the snowspeeders managed to take out both AT-ATs. We even had a board which read, "Any Imperial commander who loses both AT-ATs without taking out the rebel shields will be traveling back to base, strapped to the outside of the Star Destroyer." The game. We had to set up a list of players for several games ahead, and for one game we had 12 medieval reenactors who turned up in full armor. They sat down, filling our game, and proceeded to play. It was a superb game. We lost 1 AT-AT whilst the rebels were slowly being whittled down. As the knights played, we began to hear messages over the speaker system asking, then ordering the reenactors to the field outside the building, but they didn't move. Except that as each snowspeeder was taken down, the 2 players stood up and moved behind the remaining players. Eventually, we had them on their last snowspeeder, with the dead players whispering suggestions to the remaining pilot and gunner, and our AT-AT was 2 turns away from overrunning the rebel base. It was at that moment that I officially and loudly dubbed the players the Jedi Knights. We took their last snowspeeder out the following turn, but offered the Jedi Knights a rematch on the Sunday after their reenactment battle.